Hello again. This is Satan's Trilogy, Book 2, Chapter 5, and it is reading 65. I am the author and the narrator. Sit back, relax, as the story unfolds. The crowd had gone wild, cheering at an ear-crushing volume. Some people were thinking of the Phoenix as an ambulance left, and others were watching the new champion and his overpowering strength. Taking the microphone from Michael Wade, Satan spoke. A mask concealed his face. His voice was deep and possibly disguised, and he was unknown until tonight. But he had the complete attention of the W.O.W. fans. "Family," began Satan. "You are all my family, and I will take care of you. I have come to teach you the truth, and in time you will be amazed. Follow me, and we will find new pleasures never before experienced." At that moment, the lights dimmed, and the Black Gothic band started a familiar beat that everyone understood would lead into their opening song. The lights had dimmed, and while everyone looked to the stage for the Black Gothic band, Satan left the stadium. No one saw him leave. A strong beat and some bass rhythms, the crowd understood the evening had ended. If you were leaving, this was the time, and if you wanted to hear the short concert by Black Gothic band, then you prepared yourself for the concert. The crowd had 18 minutes to leave the stadium before BGB would play some loud music. Esther and Day looked at each other. Day was excited about the evening's conclusion. She had never been so close to the Black Gothic band. Their stage was a mere 60 feet away, and while this was closer than any of the girls had ever been, no one felt compelled to move closer. The girls all stayed huddled in their seating location. After all, they had plenty of room in front of them, though the fans were slowly filing down from the upper levels and filling the stadium floor. The band started their first number, a song familiar to everyone that followed their recordings. Esther Day and company all listened and moved to the rhythms of the song while the stadium emptied out. Black Gothic band ended the one song and quickly moved to another. It had a louder beat and more serious lyrics that spoke of a road and trouble. By this time, Satan had left everyone's thoughts. While Esther had enjoyed the show, she did wonder about the Phoenix and what his future would be. As Black Gothic band started another song, one of the ushers approached Esther and handed her a note. Esther glanced at the note and quickly read it. It was an invitation to come downstairs from Danielle Elizabeth to Esther and her party. Danielle was one of the twins working for Iron Dan. Esther showed the note to Day, then asked, "Are you interested?" Day quickly responded, "Are you kidding? Oh yes, I am interested. Let's ask everyone." Day turned and spoke loudly into everyone's ear whether or not they would prefer to stay and listen to the concert or go into the lower level where the wrestlers prepare for the matches. It was unanimous. The unknown is always more interesting than the known. While the girls all loved Black Gothic band, they realized few people ever see the behind-the-scene action. This excited everyone. The usher had stood closely by, waiting for a response. Once they spoke into Esther's ear that everyone would love to go downstairs, Esther turned to the usher and stated, "Please lead the way." He grinned and said, "Please follow me." Walking a short distance to the left of the stage that Black Gothic Band was singing from, the girls had to walk through a dense following of the band. Reaching a stairwell, the usher said to Esther, "Danielle Elizabeth is waiting for you. Their room is at the bottom of the stairs." He turned and motioned to the two guards at the stairwell to allow the girls to go downstairs. Riley Grace was excited and led the way as they descended the stairs. They found concrete walls and concrete stairs, nothing fancy. After the first 12 steps, they reached a turn in the stairwell, which led them down another 12 steps. Reaching the bottom of the stairs, they faced a long hallway running left and right, with fluorescent lighting that seemed a bit eerie. Riley Grace looked both directions and said, "The usher did say their room was at the bottom of the stairs." At that moment, the door in front of them opened, and out walked Danielle Elizabeth, wearing powder blue silk panties and a matching tank top. Acting somewhat surprised, Danielle quickly spoke up. "Oh, perfect timing. I am so glad you girls accepted my invitation to join my sister and me." Smiling as she reached Esther and placed her arms around her, squeezing Esther with a loving hug, she continued to speak. "You girls caught my eye. I just wanted to have some company tonight." Taking a step back from Esther, yet holding on to her side, she continued, "My name is Danielle Elizabeth. That's what my sister calls me, but you can call me Danielle." Esther felt very comfortable with Danielle. She sensed no risk, only warmth, and so allowed her certain latitude that few are given. Esther smiled at Danielle and spoke. "Thank you for inviting us. We enjoyed watching your sister and you tonight." Danielle Elizabeth was about Esther's height. Esther smiled at her. "My name is Esther Saint. This is my sister, Day Ho." Danielle had released Esther and was hugging Day. "Thank you for coming," Danielle said while hugging Day. "You girls are all so beautiful, and you seem so close to each other. I had decided earlier that I wanted to meet you all." Day spoke up. "This has been such an exciting night. We are thrilled to meet your sister and you. You are both so talented." "Thank you so much. My sister and I were born into this business. Our dad was a professional wrestler," said Danielle as she released Day and turned to Eve and Chris, standing close together. Esther stood close to Danielle and explained, "This is Eve, Helen, and Chris, our very best friends." Danielle hugged all three girls and again thanked them for coming on her request. Eve quickly replied, "Oh my gosh, you are kidding. I have always wanted to see where all the wrestlers came from." "I agree," said Chris. "It is really neat to see the behind the scenes and the unknown." "Well, we might not be as exciting as you think, but I am used to it all," said Danielle. She then moved to Raven. Riley Grace was standing next to her. Esther continued with introductions. "This is Raven and her sister Riley Grace, our very best friends." Danielle hugged Raven, stood back just a bit, and explained, "I love your hair. You are truly beautiful." Then Danielle glanced at all the girls. "Wow, you are all beautiful." Danielle turned to Riley Grace and leaned forward just a little, hugged Riley Grace for a moment, and then spoke up. "Hi, Riley Grace. I am Danielle Elizabeth. Thank you for coming down the stairs to meet me." Riley Grace, once released by Danielle's grip, smiled with a huge grin, then said, "Are you kidding me? This is the second most exciting night of my life." Danielle chuckled, then asked, "So what was the first?" Riley Grace said, "I was kidnapped once." Danielle Elizabeth looked very concerned. "So I see that you survived that." Riley Grace said, I am just fine, thank you. Danielle stood up and took a breath after hearing Riley Grace's story. All right, I am excited too. I want you all to meet my sister Tracy. Smiling and looking completely satisfied with herself, Danielle said, Let's go to my room. Please follow me. Danielle moved the short distance to her dressing room door, quickly knocked, then opened the door for everyone. Her sister was sitting at a long dressing room table that ran the length of the room, with a mirror on the wall reaching the entire length. She quickly spun around on her chair, smiling at everyone. Danielle's sister was wearing the same panties and blouse that Danielle had on, but her two pieces set was pink in color. Tracy Ann was an identical twin to Danielle, and they were nearly identical in personalities. Tracy was perhaps a bit more reserved, the reason being Danielle was far better at reading people. Tracy had the talent, but Danielle was always spot on. This was a needed skill in their line of work as bodyguards. Danielle moved quickly to Tracy and pulled her out of the chair, moving her closer to all 7 girls. Tracy, I want you to meet 7 very special young women. I hope we'll all become close friends, said Danielle. Without a pause, Danielle started making the introductions. This is Esther. Tracy quickly moved forward. She gave Esther a hug and commented, If my sister says that you girls are special, then there is no doubt in my mind that you are. Looking at all 7, Tracy commented, I know there's a short concert upstairs that you're missing for us. We move about so much that we seldom meet people, let alone make new friends. Your willingness to spend this time with us is a treat for us. Thank you. Esther smiled at Tracy and immediately liked her. For us, this is an exciting end to our wonderful day. We all appreciate your invitation to spend some time with you. Danielle moved Tracy just a bit closer to Day and quickly said, This is Esther's sister, Day Ho. Without a pause, Tracy hugged Day, then commented, I can sense the bond between your sister and you. It is as strong as Danielle and mine. It's nice meeting you. Day said, Thank you. Again, Danielle nudged her sister along and introduced Chris, Eve, Helen, and Raven. Tracy hugged each girl and thanked her for coming. Danielle said, Our youngest friend is Riley Grace, and Riley Grace is Raven's sister. Tracy Ann knelt down just a bit and smiled at Riley Grace, gave her a hug, and said, I love your name. I have 2 names too. I like to go by Tracy Ann, but my sister usually calls me Tracy. Unless she's mad at me, then I am Tracy Ann. Tracy Ann winked at Riley Grace. Riley smiled at Tracy Ann. She had decided long before Tracy Ann talked to her that she liked her. A room full of very special girls with unique qualities, and they all seemed to understand the other. A female kinship was felt among everyone. Tracy Ann and Danielle Elizabeth were 6 years older than the others were, but that didn't matter. All were very intelligent and held special qualities that allowed them to understand the other. Danielle Elizabeth tossed a large bag onto a table in the center of the room, explaining, Tracy and I never go anywhere without our Keurig. We travel with a platinum Keurig coffee machine, and we love it. I need a flavored coffee. We have 24 flavors. Please help yourself. Danielle grabbed a K-cup out of the bag and quickly made herself a cup of Southern pecan coffee. Now let me sit back and enjoy this, and I'll be on top of the world. Day and Esther looked at each other and then moved for the bag. Helen and Eve had already made a selection, and were nearly finished brewing their coffee. Chris watched Esther and Day go for a coffee and commented, "Well, if there is a flavored cocoa coffee, then I could drink that. I just don't care for most coffees." They found a chocolate southern pecan and offered it to Chris. She quickly thanked Day for the small K cup and joined the line at the Keurig. Raven said to Riley Grace, "Well, if we are going to sit back and relax, we might as well brew our favorite." Raven looked into the bag and immediately pulled out 2 Southern Pecan K cups, handed one to Riley Grace as they went to the Keurig machine. Seconds later, everyone was sitting, relaxed, sitting in chairs about the room, slowly sipping coffee, and everyone enjoyed the moment. Raven tossed out a comment. "You know, Black Gothic Band is really hot." She then added, "I am glad I am here, but they are really hot." Esther looked at Raven, glanced at Day, and then everyone broke out laughing. They all understood what Raven had stated and totally agreed, and yet everyone was comfortable being with Danielle and Tracy. Danielle made a comment. "I love their music, and they are certainly dedicated musicians, but my God, if I have a man in my arms, I want to feel some meat." Danielle looked around the room and commented, "They are just too thin. I could break any one of them into two without trying." Helen and Eve immediately started to giggle at the thought of Danielle had just said. Then Day and Esther both broke out laughing with them. Everyone was laughing, and it became contagious. It was difficult to stop laughing. Raven managed to say, "As long as they continue to put out great songs and they remain straight, I'll keep calling them hot." While her statement might have been funny to many, the girls all agreed and nodded in agreement. Tracy Ann was laughing and enjoying the moment. She finally stopped laughing and sipped her coffee. Without warning, she shared their problem with everyone. "Danielle and I lost our jobs tonight. Iron Dan took such a terrible beating that he decided to go back to Missouri and work on his father's hog farm." Tracy took a sip of her coffee as everyone waited for her to continue. "Danielle and I have seen many wrestlers come and go. We thought Iron Dan had some real potential, but in this business, you never know." Taking another sip of her coffee, she continued, "We always land on our feet, but I hate waiting for our options." Danielle spoke up. "We've been in this position before. It's nothing new. This type of work, you have to expect it. Yes, it is stressful, but I am confident we'll find more work." Danielle smiled at everyone. The girls just realized that the twins were no longer employed and that they were somewhat desperate. Helen was showing real concern and spoke up. "So what will the two of you do?" Danielle quickly said, "We've been in this position several times. We'll be all right. Things have a way of working out. Tracy and I have real skills that fit this job. If we don't receive any offers within the W.O.W., then we'll find private employment. Many companies are looking for experienced security personnel. We both did military duty." She then added, "That experience seems to impress people." Danielle tucked her feet up under her legs and made herself comfortable in the chair. She then continued, "We might have to sit tight for a few days until word gets out that we are available. Trust me, two hot young girls are a hot item in the W.O.W. That is just simple business. We can wait." Soaking all this in, Esther finally asked, All right, I understand what you are saying, and I agree with you, but until you receive that phone call, where are you staying? Danielle said, We have to find a hotel and wait. We have a manager making phone calls as we speak. James has been around for a long time and he knows everyone. We have full confidence in him. He will earn his 10% this week. Danielle chuckled and leaned back. Tracy did the same. Pulling her legs up onto the chair she was in, she agreed with Danielle. That's right, said Tracy. James has more than doubled our income within the last 18 months. This is just a break from work. Esther looked at Day and the others. She sensed that everyone knew what she was thinking, and they were all in agreement with her. So speaking up, Esther said, Look, you can find a hotel if you like, but my aunt and I have room for 2 guests if you wish to avoid the hotel. I am a pretty good cook and love cooking for others. So if you would like to stay with us, I can guarantee that you'll be fed well. Esther chuckled just a bit and then added, It will be just slightly crowded tonight. We are having a sleepover. Esther looked at her friends and then added, I think you two will fit in just perfect if you want to join us. Danielle didn't speak. She turned to Tracy Ann and waited for a response from her sister. Tracy seemed excited. You girls are all so special. Danielle and I have never had girlfriends. We accept your invitation. Tracy turned to Esther and said, Esther, you said you like to cook? Well, we love to eat. Immediately, everyone broke out laughing. It sounded so funny, and yet the girls knew that Tracy and Danielle were in for a treat at the breakfast table. Danielle was immediately excited. We've never had a sleepover or anything like it. Danielle explained, This is so neat. We'll remember this day forever. Danielle jumped up, grabbed some blue jeans and a loose-fitting sweater, and quickly put them on. The sweater had a large peace sign on the front. All I need to do now is collect my makeup, and we'll be ready to go. Danielle turned around and grabbed a dozen items off the dressing room counter, tossed them into a bag. All right, I'm ready. Tracy watched her in astonishment. My gosh, I haven't seen Danielle move that fast ever. Speaking up, Danielle commented, Well, this is something new and exciting, and truthfully, I wasn't looking forward to staying in another hotel, waiting for a phone call. Danielle sat back in her chair with her legs crossed in front of her, then added, Did I mention I am packed and ready? She sat there and smiled at Tracy. Tracy Ann smiled. She liked a challenge and so grabbed her jeans and sweater, both similar to Danielle's, and quickly put them on. She then threw some clothes into her suitcase, cleared the dresser off into a small bag, tossed it into a suitcase. Closing the suitcase, locking the latches, Danielle said, Well, are we going to stand around all night, or are we leaving? Oh, wait, said Tracy. She grabbed the Keurig machine and quickly emptied it and placed it into a box. All right, now we are ready. The girls had watched the sister competition and were amused. No one laughed. They all enjoyed the competitive sparring of the 2 older girls. Esther said, Well, our driver will be thrilled to see us. He probably thinks we all fell asleep somewhere. If you girls are ready, so are we. Everyone headed for the door. Tracy grabbed the Keurig and strapped it around the top of her suitcase. Esther held the door open for Tracy as she pulled her suitcase out of the room. Tracy smiled at Esther. Thank you, Esther. It is so nice leaving here and not going to a hotel. This is the best thing that's happened to us all day. I know it's late, said Tracy, but you girls don't need to worry as long as Danielle and I are with you. We have handled some really rough characters." Esther smiled at Tracy. "So have I." Esther didn't allow her mind to drift in that direction. Following a long tunnel, Danielle led them to an elevator that took all 9 girls up to the main floor. Stepping out of the elevator, they got her bearings and said the limousine should be this way. Everyone followed Day. Esther was close behind. Danielle commented, "A limousine? You girls must be celebrating." Esther quickly explained, "It was a gift from Mr. Wilson, an unnecessary but generous one." Danielle asked, "Are you saying the limousine was provided by the man who owns the W.O.W.?" Esther chuckled. "Yes, he has some odd misgivings about my role in his securing some stock, but overall I think he is a very wise person." Danielle continued to express her awe in this discovery. "Esther, he is perhaps one of the country's most powerful men. He controls a vast amount of industry and wealth." Esther smiled at Danielle. "And yet he is only a man. He walked into my father's grocery store and asked if we would post a W.O.W. poster. Mr. Wilson is just a man that has done extremely well. I admire that, because doing well never comes without hard work." At that point, the girls reached the front entry to the stadium. Pushing the door handles down, the doors swung open. Everyone was rushing out. The limousine was there, but the driver wasn't visible. Esther yelled at Day, "Day, stop." All right, I think I will stop there. And so until next time, be safe and take care.